Wiggle, wiggle.
Like.
Hey Blitzers, good morning. Studmuffin 1986 here. I had a subscriber request, and ever since I had suggested, yeah, let me know what tank you guys want me to do a video on. I've been getting lots of them, so thank you guys, love it. I've got a list I need to make, and I also realized before working on the World of Tanks Blitz movie, there will be a link to it at the very end here, that I also had some subscriber requests before I started working on that, so I've got a lot of stuff to work on. Apologize for my voice. I did come down with a little bit of a head cold. But anyway, let's stop talking about me and start talking about the T92E1 missile tank. These things just recently came out in the latest update, and boy, are these things getting ripped apart. It seems like people either really hate these things or you really like them. There really is no middle ground when it comes to these things. If you go on the World of Tanks Blitz Facebook page, they've got some posts about the missile like memes they've created. You go down and read the comments, and it's almost like a war. It is a big mess. But in my personal opinion about these tanks, I honestly think that Wargaming is going to nerf these tanks. Bad news for some, good news for others, I guess. And the reason why I say that isn't so much because of all of the negative Facebook comments. There are still a decent amount of people that say they really love these things. But if you go on Blitz Stars and see how these tanks are performing, which is funny because across the average, or I guess not so much the average, but the amount of players that own some of the other tier 9s is about half as much as how many players already own these missile tanks. Across some of the other tier 9s, there may be like 1,500 here, 2,000 here, but there's like already over 4,000 people, and I'm not sure if that's just on the NA server, how that works, but that already own this T92E1. So anyway, this tank has been very interesting to play with. It has been a bit different, and these are just a couple games where I have just been shooting the missiles. I find myself in this thing, I honestly could take a lot of shots just using my standard rounds as APCR, but all I want to do is just fire these missiles because it's so unique. It's so new to the game, and I just feel bad sometimes for the players that just get hit by these things. But honestly, with my experience in playing with these things, they're not that hard to dodge. I think the key thing with these, because they don't completely lock in when you're in your third, your aimer gets a little sticky, but I have tried hitting some tanks, especially light or medium tanks, I would say are probably the ones I would point out the most here. But if you just move, it is incredibly hard to hit you with a missile if you're a light or medium tank. The shell velocity of the missile tanks is 45, so a bit on the lower side. So there was just one game. And basically, I had come out with a little tips and tricks video with these missile tanks, these ATGMs, and basically how you want to play with these things. I see a lot of people playing with these things incorrectly, and you'll see this is actually one of the perfect examples. The Shrident next to me, he comes up over the hill completely being able to get hit by the enemy and just sits there shooting his missile, trying to guide it through the first-person view, and I see probably 90% of players doing that, which that's not really where the meat, I guess, is for this tank. That's not where like it really shines, in my opinion. And so you'll see that, and I've just seen tanks come up over hills shooting and just trying to guide that through the first person view to hit tanks, and they just get ripped apart and blown up because they're kind of stuck. They are just trying to guide the missile, and man, I have seen some serious tunnel visioning with those. So anyway, But yeah, so just kind of going in, the T95E1, basically the trick that I had been mentioning is you want to go into your settings, and I didn't specify this in the last one, but you want to go into your settings if you're using like an iPhone, an iPad. Now, I use an iPhone, iPad. I know a lot of people use PC, so I don't know exactly how that'll work for that, but if you go into your settings, you want to turn on your lookout area. That'll bring up a grayish horizontal bar in the right hand corner that will allow you to lock your turret and cannon in place so that you can look around and try to find those enemies that you want to shoot, like over hills and stuff. Now, you do have to get the trajectory right, depending on how you want to point your cannon up in the right way. So as to the trajectory of when the missile is shot, it has that right angle to come down the way that you want to get them, because you can't just shoot these missiles just about anywhere you want, just because you can miss. I probably hit tanks with these things in this third-person view maybe 70% of the time, I would say. Other times I'm just missing because tanks are moving. They just get behind things. Sometimes the shells just don't penetrate because they're just hitting a gun mantlet or something, or spaced armor. So anyway, that's kind of the trick on how you want to play with these things. If you want to try hiding behind different obstacles and areas and then using that missile to shoot over. Like I said, it doesn't completely lock on. Your aimer does get a little sticky, but you still have to try to follow and trying to use your hands in the way to keep your cannon locked using the lookout area, the cannon pointed the way that you want, and be able to try to look around in third-person view. I feel like I almost need an extra finger or something. I've gotten used to it. It's taken a little bit of time, but honestly, I think that's the right way to do it. I don't know if Wargaming's going to come out with a different control just for the ATGMs to make it a little easier. It did take me a little bit of time to get used to trying to shoot in that third-person view. So, yeah, you probably saw the Shrine, like I had mentioned, come up over the hill, just try guiding it in first person. There are times when that is, I guess, necessary. I mean, the missile has just a crazy amount of penetration. It has like over 300 millimeters of penetration. As you saw there, I was shooting like a K91 from pretty far off, and I don't even know exactly where I was hitting that thing, and that thing's got good armor in different parts of the tank, especially from the front, and I think just the front of the tank was facing me when I was shooting it. So pretty incredible. My personal opinion about these tanks is I think, like I said, Wargaming is going to nerf this thing, because like I said, if you look at the Blitz Stars website and how these things are performing, they are performing better than a lot of other tier 9s. So I don't know if it's so much just because the player base is really, there's a lot of them that aren't very happy about it, but it's just the fact that it does look like this tank is performing better than other tier 9 tanks. So I don't know how that would be. I don't know if they're going to decrease the penetration on something. Already, this tank has the worst DPM of any tier 9. So anyway, here's a video. Thank you so much for the video request. This is StudMuffin 1986. You guys stay cool and keep tanking. If you want to become a patron, links below. It would greatly help. And sorry guys, and take care.